our clerk as well, if she can post that on our website. I think it'd be a great opportunity for community members to join and learn more about Black maternal health and ask questions.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Jacobs?
I also want to thank Ms. Slade and Ms. Spencer for your advocacy and your work. And also, I was just thrilled the way that you've partnered with the city Women's Commission and had a forum this weekend. I signed up to go to the forum, but I was also, unfortunately, in the Democratic Party convention that ran very late. And I was not able to attend. And I was really sorry to not be able to attend the forum. So I really hope it was successful. But I really appreciate the way that you have partnered together on this issue. This has been a really confounding, intractable issue. When you look at the data, it's really, it's just inexcusable. When we look at the mortality rate and what's happening with the access to care, and trying to really understand and doing a survey is certainly really important as one of the first steps. I guess I would really appreciate at some point, I don't know if Joanne is here, our general manager over health and well-being. Is Joanne here?
Good evening. I am here. I'm sorry, okay. My video is not.
Hey, Joanne.
Sorry. Yes.
I would love to get an overview of what we are currently offering, what we do currently provide, and hear from your staff, the staff in the health department that are working on this, and what the system currently is. And I think we have some partnership with Lincoln Community Health Center for maternal health, but I would like to understand kind of as a foundation what we are doing as well. That would help me to understand this problem. And I really appreciate Commissioner Burns raising this during our budget retreat as a priority. And we all agreed that this was something that was really important to us. So thank you to the Women's Commission for taking a lead on this and for your work that you're doing as well, Joy. Thank you.
So, and just to reiterate, Commissioner Jacobs, what you just requested will be part of what Deborah and Ms. Pierce will be doing. They will look at what the county is doing and bring the community into the conversation so that there is a collaboration around this issue so that nobody feels left out. So that part of the work is already beginning. Commissioner Burns, yes.
Mine is very quick. You've heard it from our chair and our vice chair, but I really want to echo, because I don't think it gets amplified enough. This was not a hard sell for me for these 5 women. As soon as I said it on the campaign trail, as soon as I said it at the budget retreat, as soon as I said it in session, all 5 of them were lockstep that this is something they want to focus on. So for that, I say thank you. We see you all on the news, Ms. Slade, Ms. Spencer. We've seen the Omnibus bills going forward. We've seen you on CBS, we've seen you on Spectrum, and it just shows that on some level, people are starting to recognize it is a very real issue. And I just want to throw out there, I think if we sat around in a room and everybody told their maternal health stories, I think that people would really just break down and cry, because every last one of us, even though I don't have children, we have horror stories about what happens to us in hospitals, absolute horror stories, and our colleagues don't have those. So I just want to say that I recognize, as a woman with insurance, I have the privilege of choosing my doctors, and a lot of times many of the women who come to the county for our services don't have that choice. And it was highlighted in 3 budgets that this was an issue, and we recognize that we cannot do this alone. Joanne's a superwoman, so is Rod, so is Ben. They're all superheroes at Public Health and Social Services. But I want you all to leave here and know that this is not just a resolution. Like, everyone on this call is very committed to being supportive. And in that budget retreat, and I can say Commissioner Carter even backed me on that one, and the same thing that Wendy and Commissioner Jacobs and Commissioner Howerton just said, we are looking at ways that we can be supportive. So follow back up with us, keep up the good fight. And thank you. Thank you, because I know that your work is gonna save lives.
Commissioner Carter.
Thank you, Chair Howerton. I just quickly wanted to express my admiration to Ms. Slade and Ms. Spencer for being such strong, effective advocates on this very key, community health indicator, maternal mortality rates, and highlighting the disparity. And it's linked to the other one then that was in our resolution, the infant mortality rate, which, I also hope that sort of by extension will be part of this roundtable discussion that Chair Howerton mentioned. And thank you, Brenda, for getting that going. That really does make this resolution more than just a resolution. We're actually starting some work to attack it. And just wanted to thank Brenda for that. And real quickly, this work is also very tightly linked to the work of the Community Child Protection Task Force and the Community Child Fatality Prevention Task Force. And they are going to be bringing their report to us, I think, in May. And so that will give us another opportunity to look at, the intersection of these work and maybe think about ways to collaborate. So it's good that this is elevated so highly on our radar tonight, and it will be again in May. Anyway, thank you so very much.
Thank you so much again, ladies, and you will be hearing from us as we do our work together. All right. All right. We'll move on, ladies, then, commissioners, to the next item is 210208, and it is the Durham County Sheriff's Office receives a full accreditation from the American Correctional Association, ACA. The board is requested to recognize this award as was presented to Sheriff Burkhead by the ACA, and I will ask the sheriff to share the details of this award with the board. Sheriff Burkhead. I know you're not going to miss this opportunity.
Can you hear me?
I do now.
Okay, this seems to be a technical difficulty night. My camera will not come on.
There you go.
All right, there we go. Good evening, commissioners. Yeah, this is truly an honor for us to receive this ACA accreditation. We are the third detention center in the state of North Carolina to receive this accreditation. We are one of three who have the Triple Crown as a sheriff's office, which is CALEA, Commission on Accreditation for Law Enforcement Agencies, ACA, as we are discussing here tonight, and then our clinic inside the hospital is certified through the Medical Association. So it is truly an honor. The men and women who work at the Durham County Detention Center are doing a fantastic job. Under the leadership of former detention chief, who's now retired, Anthony Prignano, he may be on the line with us. We started this process in 2019. And without hesitation, everyone jumped in and really rolled up their sleeves to accomplish this great task. I'm going to ask Sergeant Cusher and Lieutenant Hardigan to give some details about the enormous lift that they did, along with all the members of the command staff and detention center to achieve this accreditation. Sergeant Cusher. We can't hear you.
No, I don't think you can hear me. Sorry.
Yeah.
There we go. We got you.
So yeah, we started this in 2019. I think it's a goal that the agency has had for quite a while, but really hadn't brought it to the forefront until 2019. And obviously the sheriff and former Chief Prignano was a big part of that. I became the accreditation manager in 2019, so I kind of, I guess, led the charge, so to speak. We started with updating and going through all our policies. We also worked with a gentleman who works with ACA. He's an auditor for them. We brought him on to help us through the process because it was new to everybody. And also Lieutenant Hardigan, who is our CALIA manager, was a big asset to me because I was starting a new position and taking on this huge task. But yeah, we really changed a lot of our procedures, made our jail much safer for the detainees as well as the staff. We really just wanted to make everyone see how important it was. It's not about, you know, money on the table or anything like that. It's really just about making our workspace safer. You see these stories on the news about officers and detainees getting injured, and we don't want to be part of that. We want to have a safe environment when anyone is in our facility.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm going to hold this up. Everyone can you see it?
Let me just add a couple of the things before you go any further.
Okay.
We not only achieved accreditation, we did so with 100% compliance. And it was noted by the auditors who came and in our final meeting with the commissioners that this was unprecedented. We scored a 99.7 on our initial accreditation, which is almost unheard of. They noted that it's rare that an agency on their first attempt scores so high. Truly, again, it is an indication to the work of Prignano, Majors Cornegay and Bazemore, and all of the staff at the detention center. And just a little bit of history about ACA. It's interesting. It's been around since 1870. And ironically enough, the first president of the what was then called the National Prison Association was then governor of Ohio, who became the president, Rutherford B. Hayes. So it's interesting that we are in good company and setting, once again, making history here at the Durham County Sheriff's Office. And we thank you all very much for this recognition.
You are welcome. So I just don't know if you can see that or not. That's the accreditation. That's the certificate. And it says the American Correctional Association and the Commission on Accreditation for Corrections and award accreditation to Durham County Sheriff's Office, Durham County Detention Facility, Durham, North Carolina, 2021 through 2024, in recognition of the attainment of excellence in the operation of the adult local detention facility, presented this 12th day of January 2021, ACA. Any comments from commissioners? Questions, concerns? Commissioner Jacobs.
Well, just want to congratulate you, Sheriff Burkett, and to your staff who have been working so hard on this, and the fact that you are accredited by 3 different agencies. I did not know that. And being only one of several in the entire state is a great achievement to you and all of your staff. Congratulations.
Thank you, Commissioner Jacobs. Thank you.
Commissioner Howerton, mine is quick. I echo the sentiments given by Commissioner Jacobs. And also, I know that Commissioner Howerton read the citation, but I think it's important for the public to understand like what some of the caveats of that award are. And the sentence that stuck out to me the most was, through accreditation, an agency is able to maintain a balance between protecting the public and providing an environment that safeguards the life, health, and safety of staff and offenders. I think that that's not something that gets highlighted enough. And I wanted people to know that this was not an award for an award's sake. It showcases that you all are doing the best that you can to make sure that the health and well-being of all the people within those four walls is respected, maintained, until they are in a position to leave those four walls. So for that, I'm very thankful. And again, as always, it makes me feel better about saying what I need to say about this county to the community.
Thank you, Commissioner Burns.
Thank you, Commissioner Burns.
And just one more thing, it says here, the agency is one of over 1,300 correctional organizations currently involved in accreditation around the world. So we thank you and your staff for the work that you do and looking out for our people. Any other comments from commissioners? Thank you so much, Sheriff Burkhardt and your staff.
Thank you, Chair Howerton, and thank you, commissioners.
You're welcome. Okay, we will move on to our next item, commissioners. 21-0221 is a proclamation, Child Abuse Prevention Month. The board is requested to proclaim April as Child Abuse Prevention Month. We have Ben Rose, DSS Director, and Javetta Whitfield on the line to accept the proclamation and share details that will be read by Commissioner Jacobs. If Commissioner Jacobs, if you will read this proclamation, and just know that I've been trying to figure out how I could get my blue pinwheels all weekend so that I could have one on. I don't have one. So Commissioner Jacobs, if you will read that proclamation, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and it is my honor and privilege to read this proclamation. Whereas children are vital to our state's future success, prosperity, and quality of life, as well as being our most vulnerable assets. And whereas all children deserve to have the safe, stable, nurturing homes and communities they need to foster their healthy growth and development. And whereas child abuse and neglect is a community responsibility affecting both the current and future quality of life of a community. And whereas communities that provide parents with the social support, knowledge of parenting and child development, and concrete resources they need to cope with stress and nurture their children, ensure all children grow to their full potential. And whereas effective child abuse prevention strategies succeed because of partnerships created among citizens, human service agencies, schools, faith communities, healthcare providers, civic organizations, law enforcement agencies, and the business community. And whereas Durham County received 2,920 reports of suspected child abuse and neglect during fiscal year July 1st, 2019 through June 30th, 2020. Whereas child abuse remains a serious problem in our community, affecting our most vulnerable population of children. And whereas we must continue to make every effort to combat child abuse and neglect by promoting programs that enhance strong and thriving children. And whereas prevention and awareness remain the best defense for our community in fighting the battle of child abuse and neglect. Now, therefore, be it resolved, I, Brenda Howerton, Chair of the Board of County Commissioners, and on behalf of the Durham Board of County Commissioners, do hereby proclaim April 2021 as Child Abuse Prevention Month in Durham County, North Carolina, and call upon all citizens, community agencies, faith groups, medical facilities, elected leaders, and businesses to increase their participation in our efforts to support families, thereby preventing child abuse and strengthening the commitments to which we live. This 12th day of April, 2021.
Okay, we have, thank you, Commissioner Jacobs. Ben and Javetta,
Yes,
either one,
thank you
either
so
one
much.
of you, go ahead.
Thank you so much. And thank you, Commissioner Jacobs, for reading that resolution. I am wearing my blue too. I think this might not be the proper blue for Durham, perhaps. It's a little more Chapel Hillish blue, but it's still blue. And thank you, Commissioner Howerton, for pointing out the pinwheels. I will put a little plug in for Prevent Child Abuse North Carolina. You can go and purchase for a nominal fee, a virtual pinwheel, since we're being a little more careful still as we get out of our COVID situation. So if you'd like to do that, you're welcome to do that. I purchased mine today. And we just are very grateful that, for this proclamation and for you bringing this forward. What's really exciting and different about this year is that for the first time in my 30-year career, and for the first time, I think probably in a long time, if ever, we're actually talking about child abuse prevention in terms of a service model for child welfare going forward. With the child welfare reform and the transformation, House Bill 630, Families First federal act that we're working with the state and partnering with the state to start to bring that October of 2021, where we can actually start to use federal funds for preventive services and to keep kids and families together, which is what we want to do. There's always a misnomer or a stereotype that we want to remove kids from families. And in fact, we know that families are better and stronger together. And that's where we really want to do. We're going to be able to start to make some changes over the next few years. It's not going to be a light switch turned on and all of a sudden we're doing everything. But over time, we're going to start to build those services where we can hopefully make families stronger through prevention and through upstreaming services, as my friend Sharon Hirsch likes to talk about quite a bit. So this is exciting to see these transformations come in. And I didn't think I'd ever talk about Title 4E actually not paying for residential placement of kids because it's too expensive, and we know we need to keep kids at home. That's a major shift in the way our policies are going to start to transform. And so we're very excited about that. So we really want to embrace that. We're very grateful. We have a lot of strong, wonderful partnerships and collaborations in this community. We do a lot of great work with a lot of entities, too many to name here. But they know who they are, and we are very, very grateful for the collaborations that we have. We're working very closely with Duke and looking at some predictive analytics and doing a lot of research as well too. We're doing a study with Duke on racial disparities in child welfare. So we're really trying to do a lot of analysis and understanding of the dynamics that we have so we can improve our practice. And all these are just very exciting times. It's very important for the community to always be on the lookout and be aware and be sensitive to children that might be in a bad situation and make a report to DSS. And we will screen it with the utmost care and concern. And if we can act, we will take proper actions and try to help that family and not tear that family apart. And that is just really going to be our mission going forward. I'm going to let Jovetta speak because she has the beautiful virtual background and is a lot more technical than I am. I've just got my boring wall in the back. So Jovetta is our Assistant Director of Child and Family Services and just does a tremendous job and a very difficult job. And all our staff do tremendous hard jobs day in and day out. And especially in this pandemic, they've been true heroes. So Jovetta, please share a word.
I'm not going to say too much. Ben has really spoken on the future of child welfare and where it's going in regards to protection and well-being of children in Durham County and across North Carolina. What I would like to do is have the program manager and Granby have an opportunity to say a few words, as this may be my last time handing it off to her as she prepares to retire within the next 6 months. So.
Aww.
Anne.
Good afternoon, commissioners. Thank you for having me. Thank you, Jovetta. Yes, we are so excited to serve. And that's what I want to reiterate is that the staff is committed to serve the citizens and the children of Durham County. And being essential employees, they put their families aside a lot to help other children and families. And so we always have staff out, even like now at this time of night, we have staff out who are assessing safety and risk to make sure that children are safe. So we are very proud of our staff, that they embrace what their role is as first responders and essential employees. Durham County is one of those counties. It's an urban county. So we see a lot of domestic violence. We see a lot of substance abuse. We see a lot of untreated mental health, which puts children at risk. So we work very hard to make sure we can reduce those risk factors and keep children safe. And over the last year during the pandemic, we have provided a lot of community awareness to different community entities via virtual. And that's really great to say that we've still been able to get out there and reach the community, even on a virtual level, to let them know that we're here, that we talk about reporting, we talk about everybody being a mandated reporter, and being able to give that information for us to go out and screen and make sure that children in our community are safe. So thank you. I appreciate the opportunity I've had to serve Durham County for the past 7 years. It's kind of bittersweet to know that this probably will be my last April as the CPS program manager, but I'm gonna look at a next chapter in my life. I've been serving for a little bit over 30 years, and so it's time to kind of take a little break for a little while, but I don't think I'll ever go away. It'll be close to my heart. But just thank you so much for the opportunity to serve, and thank you for this opportunities that you provide for my staff to keep children safe.
Thank you, Ann. I think that's your service has been a tremendous blessing to Durham County, and congratulations on your on your future retirement. We all want to get there one day for sure. And I would say one last word, if I could, Commissioner Howard. Commissioner Carter alluded to the Community Child Protection Team, and we really are just doing some tremendous work in that team. Our chair, Christy Mallet, has really worked very hard. When I first came to Durham, she met with me within a few months to really talk about direction and wanting to take that team to the next level, because she felt the team was really not moving very well and doing what they needed to do. And we talked, and I actually connected her with one of my former CCPT chairs from another county, and they connected on the phone, and we talked about some ideas, and she has just done a tremendous job. And we're very excited to be bringing her to the commissioners in May. I think this will be the first time maybe that they've actually presented in person. Usually you get the report, but you're just getting a report, and you get a million reports. And I don't know how y'all keep up with all that you get. So we'll have 30 minutes in front of you to really talk about the work they're doing, because this is a team that is established to really look at prevention and look at gaps and resources and areas where we can improve practice. And I think you'll be very excited to hear from Christy and the Community Child Protection Team in May. So we look forward to that too. But thank you again for allowing us to present this resolution, and thank you for all your support.
Well, no, thank you, Ben and Javetta. Thank you so much for the work you do. When I first started as a commissioner, our attorney, Lowell Siley, would tell me that this was one of the hardest, toughest areas that people work in county government. It was because it pulls on the heartstrings. And I remember being asked if I could serve on the child protection. And I said, no, because I'd stay mad all the time. Emotionally, I couldn't handle it. So I declined to stay on that committee. But I just want you to know from here how much I appreciate the work that all of your team does. And Ann, congratulations on your retirement, because this is a tough area. And I'm going to open it up for commissioners' comments or questions. Commissioner Jacobs.
I'll let Commissioner Lom go first, and then I'll speak after her.
Okay.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Chair Howerton. Thank you, Vice Chair Jacobs. I just wanted to reiterate and emphasize to Director Rhodes, Ms. Whitfield, and Ms. Granby, thank you so much for your service in this area. And one thing I also want to echo and just bring back to this meeting is, Commissioner Burns and I were talking, I think it was last week or something, about how both of us were so jarred when I think Director Rose, you had shared with us last time you presented to us how this group, the social services, goes above and beyond to protect the children of Durham, where you had children sleeping in the public health department, in the social services department, and staying with them overnight to make sure that they were safe. And that just needs to be reminded of how difficult of a role it is, but how amazing our social services department truly is, to be putting everything on the line to make sure that they can provide for the children of Durham. So I really want to just express how grateful I am as a commissioner to have such amazing social service staff who are doing this great work.
Thank you so much. That means a lot. And they truly are. My staff are just beyond heroes to me, and the work that they do is often unseen. And they do really make a lot of sacrifices, but they do it because it's a calling, and they really do care about the families they serve. So thank you so much. That means a lot to us. We appreciate that.
Commissioner Jacobs.
Well, thank you, Commissioner Lum. I'm glad you shared that story, because that's the story that always sticks with me as well. And I want to thank Jovetta for her great leadership of this department, and Anne, who is fantastic. And I got really nervous when Jovetta started saying this might be the last time. Thank you, Anne, for your also outstanding work and 30 plus years of service. But I think, I think the good news is that we are starting to see a shift in understanding that we have to invest upstream and invest in the services that families need, mental health, substance use, financial, that we have to invest upstream. And I'm also really proud of the work that this board has done, focusing on adverse childhood experiences and our early childhood investments that we're making with an early childhood coordinator and Durham Pre-K. And we just can't do enough of that with our early childhood plan, because at the end of the day, as you said, Jovetta, and is in the proclamation, it's about education and prevention. And we just have to be so committed to it. And it has been very worrisome during the pandemic that we have not had all of the community eyes on our children that you would see with children being in school. And we do rely on our whole community to be a partner in supporting, mentoring, and also, reaching out when somebody sees something. So it takes all of us, and I look forward to our continued partnership on this issue. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, anything else? There's one, I just want to say one last thing. And Ben, when you talked about keeping children together, keeping families together, we have to always go back to economics. It's about economics. It's about housing. It's about the fact that people have to make money so that they can take care of their families. Bottom line.
Very true.
Yeah.
Very true. And we definitely take an approach where poverty is not child abuse and neglect. Poverty is the furthest thing from that. But
right.
we've taken that lens, I think, in the early action childhood plan to try to find ways, because one way to prevent those reports still is to open those opportunities and give everyone access to those basic needs. So I think that is, you nailed it on the head for sure.
Well, thank you again, both you and Jovetta.
Thank you very much.
Okay, our next item, commissioners, is 21-0224, and that's a proclamation on breastfeeding family friendly community. The board is requested to proclaim Durham County as a breastfeeding, family-friendly community. And after the proclamation has been read, we will have Love Anderson on the line to accept. And I will ask Commissioner Carter if she will read this one.
This one. Durham Board of County Commissioners Proclamation, Breastfeeding Family Friendly Community 2021. Whereas families are a priority in Durham, and part of helping families to thrive is ensuring that they receive community support to develop and sustain healthy lifestyles. And whereas the American Academy of Pediatrics affirms its recommendation of exclusive breastfeeding for about 6 months, followed by continued breastfeeding as complementary foods are introduced, and the continuation of breastfeeding for 1 year or longer as mutually desired by mother and infant. And whereas the American College of Obstetrics and Gynecology states that obstetrician, gynecologists, and other obstetric care providers should support women and encourage policies that enable women to integrate breastfeeding into their daily lives and in the workplace. And whereas, according to the American Dietetic Association, American Academy of Family Physicians, and other leading health organizations, breastfeeding and human milk is the optimal way to feed infants. And whereas breastfeeding is associated with lower rates of childhood illness, such as obesity, diabetes, and infectious diseases, as well as reduced risk of maternal breast and ovarian cancers and faster recovery from childbirth as compared to formula feeding. And whereas breastfeeding has been shown to promote social emotional development, benefits the entire family, and is associated with lifelong health and development. And whereas a parent's decision to feed human milk to infants directly or through expression should be supported by family members and the community. And whereas promoting best practices in human milk feeding for healthcare providers and clinics to encourage families to start and continue to feed human milk. And whereas creating a local breastfeeding friendly childcare designation supports the parents' continued breastfeeding with expressing milk after returning to work or school. And whereas encouraging our local education systems to include breastfeeding and human milk feeding curricula at all levels, that it normalizes breastfeeding. And whereas collaborating on community resources and building community awareness can positively impact breastfeeding successes. And whereas our community is proud to have attained broad support and direct community actions, including the Durham County Health Department, Chamber of Commerce, community health workers, lactation support providers, community advocates. And whereas by providing a supportive and welcoming environment, a breastfeeding friendly community encourages families of all races, ethnicities, family structure to initiate and continue optimal infant feeding / nursing. Now, therefore, be it resolved, I, Brenda Howerton, Chair of the Durham Board of County Commissioners, and on behalf of the Durham Board of County Commissioners, do hereby proclaim Durham County as a breastfeeding friendly family community in Durham County, North Carolina, this 12th day of April, 2021.
Thank you, Commissioner Carter. And as Ms. Anderson.
Yes, thank you.
We have a couple of minutes.
Thank you so much. This has been an incredibly difficult year for families in Durham, particularly those families that have been pregnant and birthing during this time. And we started this work. Breastfeed Durham is a health advocacy group that's implementing a 10-step program that was created by the Carolina Global Breastfeeding Institute, supported by the World Health Organization, to particularly address health inequities with mindfulness around historically marginalized communities. And especially we like to proclaim in Durham during Minority Health Month, and we're particularly honored to be able to participate this week during Black Maternal Health Week. We work on this program to transform the community, to protect families that are often marginalized because of race issues. Oftentimes we know the law that women and families are allowed to breastfeed wherever they have the legal right to be. But often when families are stopped or questioned by the community, it is often more because of race or language or culture rather than because of some sort of feeding issue. And so that's really where we sit in the community. And I'm really honored to be here. And I am charged to do this work as I've counseled as a peer-to-peer support provider, counseled so many families and parents who have lost children. And we know that breastfeeding is one of the few immune boosters that we can currently offer to our infants in the midst of this global pandemic. We know that breastfeeding rates increase dramatically with support, and we know that it's incredibly difficult for families and parents to learn how to lactate and breastfeed their children without that support. Babies are born knowing how to breastfeed, but parents are not born knowing how to feed their children. And we've lost a lot of information in our culture over time. We don't have equitable access to support and healthcare, and that's why Breastfeed Durham is here. And we are volunteers, and we are trying to bring together and document all the support and resources that we have here in Durham in one place, so that parents who are sleep deprived and exhausted can find the information that they're looking for. And we thank you for your support.
Well, thank you so much. It's amazing how there's a line through all of the proclamations and the resolutions that we're doing tonight, from maternal health to this one that we just read, breastfeeding. It's all just they all kind of mesh together. So thank you so much for the work that you're doing. And I'll open it up for commissioners. Any comments? Mr. Carter.
Thank you, Chair Howerton. And I really agree with you about how connected these resolutions are tonight. And thank you, Love Anderson. I like your name. Thank you, Ms. Anderson, for bringing this forward last year and having us re-proclaim it again this year. I read something recently, and I hope I get it right. I'm pretty sure Breastfeeding Durham recently had a role to play in a major policy shift for Duke University health system that's related to this. So in the past, the International Board for Certified Lactation Consultants, those positions Duke required that the person also had to have an RN degree. And recently, after being petitioned, and I think Breastfeeding Durham was part of this, after being petitioned to change that requirement, they have done so. They've decided to drop that requirement, which will open the door to more lactation consultants who are people of color. Because that will help, from everything I read, that will really be helpful for Black women to have a Black lactation consultant to help them. And I can really imagine that would be true. And currently about 90% of lactation consultants in North Carolina are white. And so this policy change hopefully will lead to a structural change that will help, eliminate this disparity by race and who can succeed at breastfeeding. So anyway, thank you for that work. And I just wanted to highlight that policy change because, I think we are thinking a lot about that these days.
We are a community group, and we work with so many partners. So I can't say that we just would take credit by ourselves. It was a combination effort of other grassroots advocacy groups, MAME, as well as the internal workings of Duke. I think it had been on everyone's heart and minds for a long time. Everyone we reached out, when the position became open, we reached out to all of our networks. And when we looked for providers that reflected the Durham community over and over again, they're like, well, we don't have that RN credential. So we asked for the change, and apparently it was something Duke was already thinking about, and they have made the change.
Cool. Mr. Jacobs? Oh, okay, you just have a thumbs up. Okay, great. All right, thank you, Ms. Love.
Thank you.
We're going to move on to, and we've got a lot of resolutions tonight. Okay, we've got a couple more. This next one is 21-0240. It's a memorial resolution honoring the life and legacy of Mr. Nathaniel B. White Jr. The board is requested to honor the life and legacy of Mr. Nathaniel B. White Jr., who made his transition on March 19th, 2021. And we have Mr. White's daughter, Natalie White, along with Gloria, is it Rentrout? I hope I pronounced it right.
Rentrout.
Say again. Rentrout?
Rentrout.
Rentrout. Okay, got it. A Hillside High School alumni on the line to speak after the resolution has been shared. And I'm going to ask Commissioner Burns if she will read this one. I'm trying to keep up with who read which one when. Okay.
Commissioner Lam, I'm looking at you. Okay. Durham Board of County Commissioners resolution honoring the legacy of Nathaniel Bradshaw White Jr. Whereas Nathaniel Bradshaw White Jr., one of the first Black undergraduates to attend Duke University in Oh, I thought somebody said stop. Okay. I'll start again. Honoring the legacy of Nathaniel Bradshaw White Jr. Whereas Nathaniel Bradshaw White Jr., one of the first 5 Black undergraduates to attend Duke University in 1963, made his transition on March 19th, 2021 in Atlanta, Georgia. And whereas White was born and raised in Durham, North Carolina and attended Durham Public Schools, graduated from Hillside High School in 1963. And whereas he continued his formal education at Duke University, where he earned a Bachelor of Science degree in mathematics in 1967, and pursued a graduate work in mathematical statistics at UNC Chapel Hill, and also taking courses at UNC School of Public Health. And whereas in 1969, he was accepted as a commissioned officer in the Public Health Service and began working in epidemiology at the National Institute of Environmental Health Sciences, NIEHS, and NICHD, now the Eunice Kennedy Shriver National Institute of Child Health and Human Development. And whereas during his career, White worked as a consulting statistician participating in clinical trials, reviewing research grants, and serving as a section chief for a computer division that supported activities in epidemiology. And whereas for a time, he returned to his hometown to work on the revitalization of Durham's Haytime neighborhood, the Fayetteville Street corridor, and promoting economic development in Black neighborhoods. And whereas in 1992, White was appointed director of the Public Health Services Institute and the Office of Sponsored Research at Morehouse College in Atlanta, Georgia. And whereas this gifted, pioneering, passionate leader will be remembered as an amazing life force who worked to open doors for others and help improve every community in which he lived. Now, therefore, I, Brenda Howerton, Chair of the Durham County Board of Commissioners, and on behalf of the Durham Board of County Commissioners, do hereby resolve to honor the memory of Nathaniel Bradshaw White Jr. We urge all Durham County residents to reflect on his extraordinary legacy of unselfishly mentoring new generations of leaders and his lifetime of work dedicated to making life better for others. This, the 12th day of March, 2021.
Thank you, Commissioner Burns. Ms. Wade? Okay, Ms. White, do you have,
Okay, yes, I'm here. First off, I would like to thank you all for allowing me the opportunity to attend and participate in this meeting. It is an honor truly for my family. My family has a very, very strong ties to the Durham community. This county will always have a very special place in my history, my upbringing. I'm sorry, I'm a little nervous. My upbringing and in my heart. Thank you for honoring Father for his contributions to this great city of Durham in moving forward an agenda of fairness and equality for all. He is well deserving, and we appreciate this recognition of his efforts. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Is there anyone else on the line? Yes.
This is Gloria Rentrope, president of the Hillside High School class of 1963. And I just want to say all of the accolades that you read about, that were read in the resolution are indeed true. He was a magnificent, distinguished person. Just want you to know that we entered J.A. Whitted High School in 1957 because J.A. Whitted and Hillside High School were the only two schools where Blacks could attend when we were going to school. The schools were still segregated, and there were two educational systems. It was the Durham City public schools and the Durham County public schools. And of course, we were in the city. So, but the fact that even though the schools were segregated, we have many distinguished persons, and you can see by what Nat has done, not only in Durham and not only in Atlanta, but across the country. And so I just want to say thank you to the county commissioners for recognizing this distinguished man. Walter Jackson is also a classmate. We're all class of 1963, Hillside High School. Our class still supports Hillside High School by giving scholarships each year. And I want to thank Natalie. I know this is very hard for her to do this. The service for Nat was just April the 3rd, and by video, I participated, but I saw the whole service online. But I know this is hard for her because she's had a lot to deal with. So thank you, Natalie, for taking the time to be here. And again, thank you, county commissioners, for recognizing such a distinguished man. Our alumni, the Hillside Hornet.
Thank you, Gloria. So does my friend have anything? Walter, would you like to make a comment?
Madam Chair, I also would like to thank the commissioners for recognizing our classmate, Nathaniel White. He and I grew up together in White Rock Baptist Church and came through school together from junior high school to high school. Then in 1963, he chose dark blue and went to Duke. I chose light blue and went to Carolina. But that did not drive a wedge between us. We remained friends until his death. And again, I thank you for recognizing him.
Thank you so much. Thank you. So I'll open it up at this point, now for the commissioners, comments from commissioners. So if not, Commissioner Jacobs.
Well, I want to first recognize you, Miss White. Thank you so much for being with us tonight. And I'm so sorry to you and your family for your loss. And also to the members of our community, Ms. Rentrope and Mr. Jackson, who are also here. It's amazing to read about what all that your father accomplished in his lifetime, Miss White, and how his truly distinguished career. And I will say that I remember hearing him speak when we were celebrating the 50th anniversary of the first Black students at Duke University several years ago. And he was speaking at DPAC. And the story that he's told then has really stuck with me about how when he went to Duke, he talked about how he had never been on the campus and growing up in Durham, and how it was like literally going into another world and being on a completely different planet. And then also the stories about all the other Black students, because there were only a handful, and how what it was like to be the first students to integrate Duke University, and how they had to really look out for each other and support each other. And how they've all went on to do great things. So I'm grateful that I had a chance to, at least from a distance, hear your dad speak many years ago. And again, I'm very sorry for your loss. Thank you.
And Ms. White, I would also like to say offer my sympathy for your loss. He was a great man in this community, not just this community, but all over. And it's a loss for us, and it's a bigger loss for you. And we just want to say that thank you for being here, because we know that's not easy.
And I thank you for your support. I appreciate all of you. Just so many kind words about him, his legacy, who he was as a citizen, a community leader, and as my father. So I just appreciate it, and your prayers are keeping me uplifted. And so I really appreciate that, and I thank you.
So welcome. You're so welcome. Be blessed. Okay, commissioners, we have another proclamation, and I'm going to ask Commissioner Lom to read this one. This is 0241 Proclamation, National County Government Month 2021. The board is requested to proclaim April 2021 as National County Government Month in Durham. This time was created by the National Association of Counties to raise public awareness and understanding about the roles and responsibility of county government. And we have General Manager Deborah Craig Ray on the line to share details about the proclamation once the proclamation has been read. And Commissioner Lom, if you will read that for us.
Thank you, Chair Howerton. Durham Board of County Commissioners Proclamation, National County Government Month 2021. Whereas the nation's 3,069 counties, parishes, and boroughs serving more than 300 million Americans provide essential services to create healthy, safe, and vibrant communities. And whereas counties provide public health services, administer justice, keep communities safe, foster economic opportunities, and much more. And whereas Durham County government and all counties take pride in our responsibility to protect and enhance the health, well-being, and safety of our residents in efficient and cost-effective ways. And whereas under the leadership of National Association of Counties President Gary Moore, NACO is demonstrating how counties matter, especially in supporting residents and businesses during the coronavirus pandemic. And whereas each year since 1991, the National Association of Counties has encouraged counties across the country to elevate awareness of county responsibilities, programs, and services. And whereas this year's Durham County's NCGM programs will celebrate the county's programs and services through storytelling. Durham County government will host virtual events each Tuesday and Thursday in April. And whereas on Tuesdays during National County Government Month, employees will share how the coronavirus pandemic has impacted their personal lives and professional roles and responsibilities on the county's Facebook page at Durham County Gov. And whereas each Thursday, video shorts featuring various county departments will cover how service delivery has changed in light of the coronavirus pandemic. And whereas on Thursday, April 29th, the Ask the Clerk event will allow the public to connect with the Durham County Clerk to the board to ask questions related to services delivered by the office to the public and provided to the Board of County Commissioners. This event will be held on Twitter at Durham County. Now therefore be it resolved, I, Brenda Howerton, Chair of the Durham Board of County Commissioners, and on behalf of the Durham Board of County Commissioners, do hereby proclaim April 2021 as National County Government Month in Durham County, North Carolina, and encourage all county officials, employees, schools, and residents to learn more about Durham County government's programs and services, as well as participate in county government celebration activities this month and year-round, this 12th day of April 2021. Signed, Brenda Howerton, Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Lom. Okay, we can hear from Deborah Craig Ray.
Good evening, Chair Howerton, Vice Chair Jacobs, Commissioners Alam, Burns, and Carter, and County Manager Davis. It's my pleasure to join you this evening just to say a couple of words about our annual county celebration. It's important that we keep County Government Month in our forefront because if you can imagine over the past year, our employees have really, really stepped up in unimaginable ways to deal with first the malware attack and then the coronavirus that's impacting our world. I'm so proud to be one of 2,000, nearly 2,000 employees with Durham County as we work every day to provide services for the residents. From the finance department to human resources, to EMS, to public health, social services, the sheriff. It's just across the enterprise that everybody really, really shows up to serve the community. We thank you for honoring the work that we do here in Durham County. Clearly, we appreciate being of service. And those of you who have been here a while know that typically we spend this month really highlighting our employees, and we try to do something positive for them. In the past, we've had, gatherings. They come and have, cookies and punch and celebrate, or we've brought in a popcorn machine, or we've had ice cream, or just something small just to say we thank you for your work. Clearly, in this environment, we are not able to do that. But as you heard in the resolution, we are trying to do as much as we can to highlight our employees personally. And I'd also like to thank my team, Dawn Dudley and Randy Jones, for all of the great work that they've done to really pull this together. Again, my thanks to you.
Thank you, Deborah. We can't do what is the dance that we usually do every year? The wobble. The wobble. We can't do the wobble this year, dog. That was always so much fun. But thank you for pulling this together, and just thanks so much. Thanks to all the employees. This whole year, staff has just been unbelievable. They've been working 24/7, and I don't think there's anything that we can do that really speaks volume to say how much we appreciate the work that they have done and still doing, because it's taken a lot to make sure that the people in this community are safe and their families were safe. So I just can't say enough of thanks to them. And just want to open it up to the commissioners, other commissioners' comments. Commissioner Burns and then Commissioner Alam. We'll go in that.
Really quick, as a new commissioner, I had 1,000 terms. Can you hear me? Okay, so Commissioner Long, you're gonna jump out and come back in. You can go ahead. No, Commissioner Long.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say I'm sad that we're gonna miss this dancing. Me and Commissioner Burns, I'm sure, would have had a blast being able to dance at this ceremony. I also want to just share with you, GM Craig Ray, I actually very much enjoyed and was inspired to hear your first staff member that you highlighted, Miss Santiago, the DSS employee. I really enjoyed being able to learn from her and watch her story as you guys shared on Facebook. And I'm really glad that you're taking this opportunity to highlight all the different parts of county government, because, I mean, as we ran, that was one thing that people would always ask, like, well, what does the county do? And, even as county commissioners, we get continued to be asked, what does the county do? And I think it's so important for community members to see firsthand from the people doing the work every single day. And that's just so important and so valuable. And I'm really, really happy as I was reading the resolution that you guys are highlighting the clerk, because Monica is just I don't understand how Monica and her team managed to do absolutely everything and keep us afloat. So I'm so glad that she is getting an opportunity to be highlighted and for folks to ask her what the day in life as a clerk is. I'm sure that'll be a very long event because she has so many responsibilities. But thank you, GM Craig Ray, for doing all this work to highlight our staff.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, anything else? All right.
I'm back, Commissioner Howerton.
Did I miss somebody?
I'm back. Can you
Commissioner
all
Byrne,
hear
you
me?
back? Okay.
Yes,
Yeah,
I had to. Okay. She ended on a really great point, which is one I wanted to highlight. As a new commissioner, it is not wasted on me that this is a well-oiled machine ran by approximately 2,000 people. And I can only imagine how hard it was to do a socially distant orientation for Commissioner Alam and myself. And you all did it. And every day we get a million emails. And in case we didn't get your email, you call. And if we didn't get, or if someone reaches out to the county and has a question, you all jump in and say, hey, we know you might not have the answer to this, but we can jump in and help you out. I know for Monica, some days it is like herding cats. It really seriously is. I have no idea how you do it. But to the county employees, just know that I appreciate you. I appreciate the work you do by not only keeping us safe, but really ensuring that the public maintains faith in good government. On a national level, you know, for so long, that was not the case. Through all the things that have been going on, through the malware attack, through complaints, through changes in the environment, through just the paper trail that we have to deal with. I think one of the things that I've seen through our community is that they have not lost faith in you. And I just want to say thank you, because it makes our job a whole lot easier as commissioners. And thank you for making us look good. I appreciate you.
Thank you for your support.
Yeah, and you know what Commissioner Burns just said is what I say anytime I'm in the community. We can, as commissioners, we cannot do our job without the staff. They are the experts and they give us the information. So we thank you. Okay. All right. We got to move on. Mr. Jacobs, got something quickly?
Yeah, I just wanted to quickly add, because everyone made great comments. I think for me this year, I think as Deborah said, what's so poignant is about the pandemic. And in this case, you know, when I think about our staff has literally saved lives. So that's the kind of services that that Durham County staff provide. So I just want to also express my gratitude for all the work that everyone has done and the sacrifices that people have personally made over the past year and continue, because we're not 100% through it yet, but we're getting there. So thank you.
Thank you, Deborah, again. So we got one more, and I apologize to the community with so many resolutions to this evening. We just have so many things that we need to lift up to the community. And this one that I'm going to read next is so important to our community. And so this one is 0245. As a resolution supporting the adoption of state and federal legislation to prohibit discrimination and hate crimes. The board is requested to adopt the attached resolution expressing the position of Durham County on the need for clear standards to combat discrimination and hate crimes, and requesting our legislature delegation at the state and federal levels to support pending legislation, which will provide clear, uniform standards and afford necessary protections to our residents. So at this time, I'm going to read the proclamation. I'm going to ask for a motion And then I have another statement to read after that. So it may be a little long here, so I'm going to get through it as quickly as I can. So supporting the Board of County Commissioners resolution, supporting the adoption of state and federal legislation to prohibit discrimination and hate crimes. Whereas the Durham County Board of Commissioners affirms that every person deserves to be treated with dignity and respect and should be able to build a life, raise a family, or start a business in Durham County without fear of discrimination. And whereas our residents and culture benefit from being an equitable, diverse, and inclusive community, Durham County encourages those community members, organizations, and businesses whose efforts support a community free from discrimination. And whereas equity, diversity, and inclusion also contributes to a strong local economy, commercial activities within Durham County should support and incorporate those values in their business practices. And whereas Durham County residents strongly support protecting all people from the indignity of discrimination, and whereas LGBTQ people in North Carolina are still vulnerable to discrimination in many areas of life, including education, housing, healthcare, public spaces, and the workspace, because of a lack of statewide non-discrimination protections. And whereas many North Carolinians mistakenly believe that LGBTQ people do not experience discrimination in these areas. But according to a June 2020 study conducted by the Center for American Progress, 1 in 3 LGBTQ people, including 3 in 5 transgender people, have experienced discrimination in the past year. And whereas on January 20th, 2021, President Joseph Biden issued an executive order recognizing that the decision of the United States Supreme Court in Foxton versus Clayton County, 590 U.S. 2020, holding that Title VII's prohibition of discrimination because of sex covers discrimination on the basis of gender identity and sexual orientation applied to other federal laws prohibiting discrimination on the basis of sex, and ordered all federal agencies to take necessary implications action. And whereas there is currently pending federal legislation, H.R. 5, the Federal Equity Act, co-sponsored by Representative Price, which will amend several civil rights statutes to make explicit that the term sex includes sexual orientation and gender identity, and extend those protections to in areas including public accommodations and facilities, education, federal funding, employment, housing credit, and the jury system. The bill also expands the definition of public accommodations to include places of establishment that provides exhibits, recreation, exercise, amusement, gatherings or displays, goods, service, or programs, and transportation services. Whereas racial and national origin discrimination can take many forms, including not permitting people to wear their hair in styles native to their history and national identity, And whereas in the 116th Congress, HR 5309, the Creating a Respectful and Open World for National Hair Act of 2020, the Crown Act, was introduced and passed by the House of Representatives in order to prohibit discrimination based on the texture and style of hair. And whereas the most recent report from the Federal Bureau of Investigation on hate crimes shows that they have increased to a 10-year high, and that hate crimes based on sexual orientation, gender, or gender identity comprise 20% of all reported hate crimes, and those based on race or ethnicity comprised almost 60% of all reported hate crimes. And whereas there is currently pending state legislation, the Equity of All Act, HB 50/S396, sponsored in each chamber, respectively by Representative Morris, Representative Austin, and Senator Woodard, which will amend several state statutes and enact others to provide uniform statewide crimes, creating a statewide database for the collection of information regarding hate crimes and mandating training for law enforcement and district attorneys on hate crimes. And whereas the foregoing demonstrates the need for uniform standards to define the prohibit discriminations, practices, and effective processes to hold persons accountable for their actions. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Board of County Commissioners that all of the county's residents are called upon to treat all persons with respect and dignity, and we call upon all businesses in our community to adopt non-discrimination policies and procedures for their employees and patrons. The General Assembly is called upon to pass the Equity for All Act and thereby enact substantive and enforceable statewide non-discrimination protection in the areas of employment, public accommodations, housing, provision of credit, and education. The General Assembly is called upon to pass the Hate Crime Protection Act and thereby provide mechanisms to hold perpetrators of those offenses responsible for their conduct and provide training to others in the criminal justice system so that will properly understand the nature, impact, and importance of addressing those offenses. Our state's federal legislation delegation is called upon to support passage of the pending Federal Equity Act. When it is reintroduced, our state's federal legislation delegation is called upon to support passage of the Crown Act in 2021. This 12th day of April, 2021. Pretty kind of long. So this one, commissioners, we're asking for a motion to adopt.
So moved.
Seconded.
So it's been moved by Commissioner Burns.
Yes, ma'am.
And second by Commissioner Alum. Get a roll call.
Commissioner Alum.
Aye.
Commissioner Burns.
Aye.
Commissioner Carter.
Aye.
Vice Chair Jacobs.
A resounding aye.
And Chair Howerton.
Aye. So it's been approved 5-0. So this is another statement, commissioners, that I just need to read to you as quickly as possible here. Since hatred and discrimination against people who are different, for whatever reason, has been an issue for centuries. And while progress has been made, there is still so much more to be done. Events over the past year have shown that all too clearly. In Durham, we know that every person deserves to be treated with dignity and respect and should be able to build a life, raise a family, or start a business in Durham County without fear of discrimination. In Durham, we know that this is not the only thing, but the right thing to do for people who may have traditionally suffered from discrimination, but that all of our residents and the culture of economy of Durham benefits from being part of a community where equity and diversity and inclusion are part of the ecosystem. At the same time, the situation in Durham is not present in all of the state of North Carolina or the rest of the United States, and the action is needed to change that. ABC 11 stated, both federal and state Civil Rights Protection Act, discrimination based on race, color, creed, religion, sex, and national origin, but not sexual orientation or gender identity. The U.S. House of Representatives recently passed the Equality Act, which would add those things, but the legislation faces an uncertain future in the more conservative Senate. So recently in Raleigh, there was a rejection of a couple that was attempting to get married. So this is an article that was stating that gives us a reason why this needs to be done. The LGBTQ community has long campaigned for those changes to protect against claims of discrimination in education, access to credit, jewelry, services, federal funding, and the like. So county staff, our attorney Massey, have been working nonstop on a non-discrimination ordinance, and in their research identified legislative proposals at the state and federal level to amend the non-discrimination laws and extend the protection of multiple state statutes in the areas of employment, public accommodations, housing, education, and healthcare, both to include new groups and further extend the activities where protection is provided. Enacting those statutes will provide uniform standards across our state and country, and hopefully the resources to change the culture of our state and country. And that is what is truly needed, more than individual islands of protection provided by individual cities and counties, or statewide and nationwide laws properly resourced and implemented to create a common culture of respect for people individually, their identity, their culture, quite simply, who they are, either by choice or by birth. And so we, the Board of County Commissioners, have adopted this resolution recognizing the initiatives undertaken by some elected representative to achieve that goal and calling on the community to support these initiatives. Understanding that the attorneys are working on the process and it takes time. Thank you, Commissioners. Are there any comments? Commissioner Burns, Commissioner Carter.
Quick one. I just want to just throw out there for folks to just center their thoughts around a Barbara Jordan quote. She stated, "If the society today allows wrongs to go unchallenged, the impression is created that those wrongs have the approval of the majority." What I want individuals to take from our resolution tonight, there was a mention of Senator Woodard. We mentioned Representative Morrow, Representative Alston, and that's through our delegation. I know that Senator Murdoch is also working towards some Crown Act work. Commissioner Alam mentioned on last week that Representative Nassif Majid, as well as I brought up Senator Jay Chowdhury, are also working on this legislation. So I want you all to also know that, like I stated earlier about another resolution, this one was not a hard sell for the 5 people sitting in front of you. I am pretty sure that there are days that we scared our legal counsel because we wanted to put as much in here as we possibly could to cover as many people as we possibly could, because that is how you do things in Durham. So I want you all to just think about the last thing that Commissioner Howerton said, that our resolution, it seems like our neighbors around us in Raleigh and at the city level and in the counties around us might have beat us to the punch with their resolution. But I will guarantee you they will not beat the teeth that we will put in our ordinance. So just know this resolution is just the first step. And just know that for these 5 women, you ain't seen nothing yet. So thank you, ladies, for supporting us in this resolution. Thank you to the delegation, and keep pushing us, Durham.
Okay, Commissioner Long.
I think Commissioner Carter was first. I'll let her go.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I call? I'm sorry, Commissioner Carter.
Okay, she's waiting for me to go.
Okay.
Commissioner Burns, we switched roles. You stole my notes this time and took the words right out of my mouth. That this ordinance really is, this resolution really is so important for us to identify and look at how much it covers, because it's so important for us as commissioners to protect all Durham residents and to make sure that we're speaking up and making sure that everyone in Durham County feels safe and welcome. Because if you don't even feel safe in your own community, if you feel that you're being discriminated against, you won't be able to make Durham your home. And that's what we want people to be able to make Durham their home and have a long and happy life here, where they start families, where they grow their families. And this resolution and these bills that have been passed or have hopefully will be passed in our legislation are very near and dear to my heart, as all of you know, with the hate crime prevention bills. And I'm so grateful to Representative Majid for introducing this on the House side and Senator Chaudhry on the Senate side. And I'm so grateful for all of the commissioners that I serve with for recognizing the importance of these bills and including them in the resolution to make sure that, you know, everyone in Durham County is welcomed, as I mentioned. So thank you so much to all of the commissioners, as well as our county staff and our attorneys for going so much into detail into all of this work and making sure that we're able to protect as many people as possible across Durham.
Okay, now Commissioner Carter.
Oh, thank you, Chair. Thank you, Chair Howerton. My colleagues have said it so well. I don't have much more to say, other than I really am hopeful by the good work that I think we did around this resolution. And it's an example of, I think, how we're very united in many, many values and goals. And you know, we're making this one happen. And I want to thank our county staff for all the words of advice and caution and support in moving forward with this non-discrimination ordinance. And I'm glad tonight we're taking the first step with the resolution. I do look forward to also at some point soon talking about strengthening our own policies and practices with Durham County, making it explicit in our contracts, for example, that our non-discrimination protections extend to those. It covers the sexual orientation, not just gender. So gender identity, and I hope that we can work on that soon as well. But thanks to staff for helping us with this.
Commissioner Jacobs.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I think this is something that we all want to speak on because all of the members of our board feel so strongly about this resolution and about our board taking very, very strong and very loud and very clear action on this issue. As Commissioner Burns said so well, that there are times when you must speak up, and we must speak up in our community, in our state, and in our country, and in our world. And I think about what is happening right now, and we see not just here in our own state legislature, but across our country, that the war that is being waged against transgender youth, and that here we are recovering from a pandemic, and we see voting rights under attack. And what issue is brought up to try to divide people, to try to create a social wedge in people, is to pick on literally the most marginalized and most vulnerable people in our society. And we know what this is all about. And we're not going to be strayed from focusing on what are the real issues that impact people's lives every day, and what are the real issues that people are suffering from. And it is not related to transgender youth somehow infringing on our rights. And I just want to make people aware of the bills that are in our state legislature right now: SB 514, HB 358, SB 515, that are undermining the rights of our transgender youth to get the health care, medical care they need. But also, as our other board members mentioned, our fantastic Durham delegation and others in the state legislature who have submitted 4 new bills, including the Equality for All Act, that will help address the issue of equality for all in our community. So I look forward to our board taking action in the near future to join with 7 other local governments. It's important that we take action at every level of government. And thank you. And thank you to Curtis for your great work, Attorney Massey, on the resolution.
And I'm going to end this conversation, commissioners, so that we can, with just a comment I just want to make to Curtis. Curtis has been advising us and when the community wondered why it was taking so long, is taking long because Curtis Massey, our attorney, was trying to do the best job possible for Durham County so that it has a chance of surviving, that he get the legalese in there that we don't know how to address because we're not lawyers, but he was intentional about how he stated all the language in this. So again, I want to thank him and his staff, that the people around him, the attorneys that helped him to put this together. So thank you. We're going to move on, commissioners, to our consent agenda. I think that's the next thing is coming that we have. Mr. Manager, if you will lead us through this consent agenda.
Madam Chairman, for the sake of time, since we went over these items in the work session, we have on our consent agenda items 180 through item 238. And if there are any questions about any particular item, the floor would be open for the board members to let us know. We can pull them and move forward.
Okay, any items, commissioners, that we didn't discuss during the work session? Okay, and you have one you want to pull, Commissioner Jacobs? Okay, you making a motion, which?
I had to comment on the Bulls City United item because I'm so excited about it. And there's always good things on our agenda, but I just wanted to make sure the public knew that we're signing an interlocal agreement with the city, who is going to be chipping in nearly $1 million, $935,488 to expand the county's Bulls City United program. And we're going to have 18 new staff people, 4 more census tracks, and more outreach workers and violence interrupters. And I just think it's amazing. And it's just a great partnership between the city and the county. So that's all. Just wanted to celebrate that item.
Okay. So, and thank you, Commissioner. And, you know, we went over all of that during the work session. And at some point we will have Ms. Pierce with that, the GM over that, to bring all of that for a presentation for the community to hear all the good things that's happening in that area. So, so thank you. I'm going to ask for a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'd like to make a motion, Madam Chair, to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
And okay, who's second?
Commissioner Carter.
Commissioner Carter. Okay, been moved probably moved by Commissioner Burns, second by Commissioner Carter. Okay, and a roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Alam.
Aye.
Commissioner Burns.
Aye.
Commissioner Carter.
Aye.
Vice Chair Jacobs.
Aye.
And Chair Howerton.
Aye. Consent agenda passes 5-0. Thank you. We are. Yes.
I'm sorry. I know that we did announcements and we're headed to other business, but I did want to throw out there before we moved on. I know many of you all knew these 2 individuals, and while we're centering ourselves around, in a second, we're gonna go to Roddy's going to talk to us about our COVID-19 numbers. And we're going to talk about the one thing that we usually end on sometimes is how many people we've lost. So I do want to lift up right now. Some of you actually had the opportunity to serve with her. Many of you all know that Edith Wiggins, the first African-American female chancellor and also past city councilwoman in Chapel Hill, passed on last week. On top of that, I want to lift up Judge Jim Harden, who is actually retiring after 25 years. So we mentioned the retirement, but we do have things that are going on, that we do have lives to celebrate. We do have other retirees to think about. So I just want to throw those out to the community because I knew some of you all served with them, and I didn't want to let a week go by and we didn't say that. And we had a couple of 100-year-old birthdays. So I don't have all the names. I actually asked, but we had a couple of people to hit 100. And for me, that's pivotal because we're losing a lot of young people. So it just makes me feel all warm and fuzzy on the inside and know that we have some people who are still trucking along here in Durham fighting a good fight. And that was all I want to throw out.
Well, thank you. And if you would like to bring those names to the next meeting, that would be nice to just celebrate all of our 100-year-old citizens. That would be wonderful. Thank you. So our other business we're going to move on to is 210242 Durham County Public Health Focus Update. The board is requested to for an update, focus on an update from our county staff, Rod Jenkins, and this discussion will be led by none other than Rod Jenkins. Rod, would you be so pleased to share with us what's happening around the vaccines?
Good evening, Madam Chair, and to members of the county commissioners. Trying something a little different, please bear with me.
Right, you're going to click on slideshow.
I got it. I'm trying to get all this other stuff out of the way. Here we go. I didn't know I had all the fancy stuff. Again, good evening to you, Madam Chair, Vice Chair Jacobs, and the county commissioners. For the most part, my slides are going all over the place, so I do apologize. Just want to give you some quick updates just to let you know where we are. My message is always the same. We want to make sure that we continue to push down, double down on public health measures. Wear your mask, wait 6 feet apart, wash your hands. We just need to simply do everything we can to encourage others to get vaccinated as quickly as possible. Why do we want to do that? We want to ward off a 4th wave of virus infections. And we simply want to get back to normal. For the most part, our statistics as of right now, we have 406 active cases. There are 23,711 people who have beat COVID. Of course, we always continue, as Commissioner Burns alluded to, we want to remember those people who have lost loved ones to COVID-19. There are currently 221 deaths due to COVID. Our thoughts, prayers, and meditations are always with those individuals. Total, since the pandemic began, 24,343. Our 7-day moving average uptick just a little bit, 51. That's an increase from 45 last week and 49 the previous week. And so far, there's 547 COVID-19 cases so far. In the month of April, as far as race and ethnicity trends, the Hispanic, Latinx, and white population remain veritably the same. We're keeping our eyes on the infections in the Black African-American community. These stats were early in the month, and we have every confidence in the world that will level out, but rest assured, we will keep our eyes on that. And again, positive percentage of lab confirmed cases, we're still in good shape, being under 5%. We're at 4.7 for last week. Prior week was 4.6%. We're lucky to have Duke's infection control statistics. It shows North Carolina grew at 1.2%. and Durham has grown at 1.5%. So again, we're continuing to trend in the right direction. Let's talk about vaccinations. People fully vaccinated per the CDC. Total in Durham, 89,587 Durhamites have been fully vaccinated. That represents 27.9% of our population. So we're doing a really good job marching in the right direction. Those who are over the age of 18, 89,321. Percentage of the population greater than 18 represents 34.9%. Very pleased to report that our seniors who fought tooth and nail to get this vaccine, 31,157 seniors have been vaccinated, and that's 71.2% of Durham's population. So again, that's a great thing. That's a great thing. Those were the most vulnerable. Our level of transmission, community transmission in Durham remains relatively high per the CDC. Per North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services has us in the yellow stage. So that means that we're still doing good, but there's still a clear and present danger. Again, our vaccine map pretty much shows who's been vaccinated. Again, Durham continues to be trending relatively nice. We're talking about vaccination groups. On April the 7th, ladies and gentlemen, we went to Group 5. That's anyone 16 years of age and older who desires to get the vaccine can get it. Approximately 189,842 vaccinations were performed through today. I'd love to give you all up-to-date statistics. So again, as vaccine supplies have increased, which I've been telling my board of county commissioners all along, the more vaccine we get, the more vaccinations we can do. For the month of March, we did about 74,240, which equates to a 58% increase in the vaccines from February to March. And we certainly know that that's only going to increase as the months goes along. Again, Durham County residents recognize that this is a vaccine without borders, and they have been vaccinated at 444 different locations across North Carolina. We still focus on race, and as it stands right now, We still have whites who've been vaccinated in higher numbers than Blacks and Latinx and Asians. More definitive data for you. The percentage of whites who've been fully vaccinated at present is right at about 58%. Been partially vaccinated. 60.2% have been fully vaccinated. As far as the percentage of Blacks, 24.5 have been partially, 25.5 have been fully vaccinated. And the total percentage of Asians, 6.3% have been partially, 6.2 fully. And again, we know we have a lot more work to do with our Hispanic or Latinx population. 5.9% of residents have been partially, 8% have been fully vaccinated. Vaccine equity is very important to us, and proud to talk about the partners that we've partnered with. Siembra, North Carolina, La Familia, El Centro Hispano, and all the ministerial alliances have reached out to us, and we have been setting aside different times, community events for them to be vaccinated, providing slots for them to get vaccinated. We're currently working with Durham County EMS to create tools that promote equity in vaccine distribution. Heat maps are some of the things that we've done in the past in order to target our COVID-19 testing. We're doing the exact same thing for COVID-19 vaccinations in high-risk areas with low vaccination activity to target placement of mobile vaccination sites. We're working with UNC mobile clinics within the next couple of weeks to do more targeted vaccinations. We've also reached out to the executive director of War for Life to ensure that they have all the vaccines they need. And then we also reach out to Durham Tech because they're going to begin vaccinations on campus as well. We're also using geomapping to increase vaccine equity by having community events on Saturdays. As the vaccine, mass vaccination efforts begins to dwindle down, it's going to give us an opportunity to really do more outreach. And at present, Saturdays are those days where we're able to really get away from the health department and do a lot of vaccinations. So we look forward to really increasing that at a lot of churches in Durham. We've already committed to several vaccine events hosted almost every weekend. I want to be respectful of time. That concludes the presentation I have for you, Madam Chair. And at this time, happy to answer any questions you have.
Thank you so much, Rod. And thank you for the presentation. And what I'd like the public to know is this presentation will be part of the agenda that they can always pull it and to be able to see the numbers and review the numbers if they'd like. Because I'd gotten a few calls that they said they couldn't write it down fast enough. So this will be helpful.
Absolutely.
So questions, commissioners? Commissioner Lum?
I didn't have a question. I just wanted to reiterate one of the announcements I made earlier, being that it's a little bit later and it's still very valid and important, especially after Director Jenkins' update of just a reminder to folks who are fasting this month to make sure that if your time comes and you find an appointment for a vaccine, take the shot. It is not going to break your fast. Just remember to drink a lot of water as soon as you break your fast. And thank you so much to Director Jenkins and again, GM Pierce for meeting with me and our community religious leaders from the Muslim community to make sure that they have the information they need to get out to the Muslim community to make sure that they're safely getting vaccinated. And also kind of related, well, it is related to public health that I forgot to include in my announcements is that Zakat Foundation is actually also doing food distributions across this month for people who have food insecurity. Monica, I will share that with you also. There are several dates across this month that if you need a place to break your fast, there will be hot meals available throughout the month of Ramadan, and there'll also be grocery box distributions and fresh produce distributions for families.
Thank you, Commissioner Alam, and it was a pleasure for us to join you and your religious leaders. We learned a whole lot.
I do have one quick question, Rod. Is there any particular area that you would say that's needs more focus?
As far as vaccine distribution?
Yes.
Not particularly. We know that, as I've said to several people, we know that it may seem that we've been doing this vaccination campaign for quite a while, but believe it or not, it's been less than 4 months. The 21st will make 4 straight months for us. And from my seat at the vaccination clinics, which I tend to be in every day, much to the chagrin of my staff, I'm seeing a lot more diversity. I'm seeing that they're making it a family affair now since April 7th, and I love that. I've seen many people early on who had adult children come in and get vaccinated with their loved ones, but I'm seeing it more often now. I love the diversity that's coming into the health department. This past Saturday, we offered vaccinations and there was a huge amount of Latinx individuals come in. I love that. I just feel as if in a short period of time, the numbers are definitely going to reflect the diversity and the distribution that's going on. The one thing I will say that I would say to the listening audience is that there seems to be a little bit more vaccine shopping. And that's individuals who are saying, nah, I don't want Pfizer, I want J&J, I want Moderna. And there is no such thing as a bad vaccine. The best vaccine is the one that's available to you. And they're all equally effective. And we're proud in Durham to offer all of the above. I'd also like to say, you know, in the essence of time and being respectful of time, that the J&J product, much has been said about it in the news. The CDC has come back and said that it is still highly effective. We always encourage our participants in Durham. We ask them, have you had something to eat? And if they say, no, we haven't, we offer them a snack, we offer them a pack of crackers, we offer them some water prior to them taking the vaccine. What we found is that if someone has something on their stomach and they get the shot, they tend to do a little bit better. Those people who come in on an empty stomach tend to get real nauseous, and then that's when they have adverse reactions. But I'd be a lame health director if I did not take the opportunity to say how proud I am of my staff. They take great care in making sure that everyone that comes into our facility for vaccinations has all the information they need, they have the care that they need, they have the food that they need, and they leave happy. So again, I just want to give that quick shout out.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you. As always, you do an absolutely superb job. And I know that you got folks that got your back. So if there are no other questions, Commissioner Jacobs, you had something?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Rod, I really appreciate the presentation today, and I really appreciate the focus on vaccine equity. I know that that is what you and all the partners are really laser focused on at this point in time. And I agree that it is really, really important when we do look at those numbers, and we really, you know, everybody just needs to keep working together. But it really is a priority. We've got to, you know, make sure that everybody in the Black community and Asian and Latinx community are getting vaccinated. And we know that the reasons are complicated, and that it just takes extra work and effort on our part. But I know that we have all the partners to do that. I just want to say that my best friend was taking her 16-year-old daughter to get vaccinated at Public Health on Saturday and texting me pictures of the lines that were huge. And she said it was very exciting. It felt like this historic moment in Durham's history with all of the diversity of people that were there and all the ages. And and it felt very festive. And she said that the staff were amazing. And her daughter was happy to get fruit snacks. And so I just think, you know, I'm glad that she sent me the pictures so that I could kind of vicariously enjoy that. But I'm so excited now that it's not complicated in terms of everybody can get the vaccine. And I just hope that that's going to be really helpful to us now. The idea that, you know, people don't have to figure out what category I am. It's like everybody, 16 and up. I also just want to mention something that was said at the Recovery and Renewal Task Force to get it out into the community, that Philip Harewood, the CEO of Lincoln, said that their main challenge right now is staff. They are hiring people. They have gotten funding. I don't know if it came from the federal government or from the state government. They have funding to expand their reach. And we know that they are doing an amazing job at really getting our most vulnerable residents. But he said their challenge is staff. So I want to get the word out to people. If you're looking for a job, if you have any kind of skills related to being a nurse or a health practitioner, to please look at Contact Lincoln. But one of my questions to you, Rod, was what are our numbers of the J&J right now? Because, you know, obviously that's the most flexible for outreach. And how are we doing on our community health workers? Because I think some of those funds run out the end of May. Is that right? And are there conversations about what we can do to keep them going?
I would say I'll be able to pull that up for you real quick, but I know for the most part, the J&J, we have administered close to about 800. One thing that we did was we took it upon ourselves to be the hub and to distribute the vaccine out to our spokes, and that's our pharmacies, who in turn go to do different events to expand our bandwidth. There have been several days in which we've offered J&J in our health department, and as I've previously mentioned, it has been without incident. So the J&J product is still being reserved from the state to the health departments for events. So with that being said, we do have several hundred doses that have been earmarked for our work with UNC mobile clinics, who are definitely going to go to those underserved areas. We look forward to that happening over the course of the next 2 to 3 weeks. They have specifically asked for J&J. There's also church events in which those pastors have specifically asked for J&J. So we want to make sure that we deliver. To your question about the community health workers, we certainly hope to keep that sustained. I do know that entities like Project Access of Durham is still working with Cure Americas, with their community health workers and their plans to continue that great work. We also know that Durham Tri and a couple of other CBOs had community health workers, and we're continuing to work with them. We have worked very well with them as far as like designated slots, and they've been out to kind of in the nooks and crannies of Durham, getting people to sign up for vaccination. So we certainly hope that we're able to keep this sustained, and rest assured, I'm willing to do whatever it takes to keep that going, because they're our main pipeline to get to the underserved populations.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Rod. There's one more question.
Thank you, Commissioner Howerton. I know that we got a lot. I'm happy that Commissioner Jacobs brought up what she did, because it just lets me know that those festive photos that they took down there, Rod, you letting folks have parties. So you kicked me out the last 2 times. I now know that I'm welcome to come back and get people excited again. So Commissioner Jacobs has photo.
They took photos while they were waiting outside. Like, so you were inside the clinic. So we got to keep the line moving.
I'm sorry,
Okay.
it's breaking up. I didn't hear the distinction.
Okay,
thank
you have
for
a
that,
question, Commissioner Burns. We're gonna have to move on.
I do. I know we got to go. I just want to highlight this. A couple of things that he pointed out. I want the public to look at these numbers. What I want to know, will we get this PowerPoint? Can we post it online? And here is why, Commissioner Howerton, many of you all received a presentation this week that had the most made up numbers on it humanly possible, because they counted children in their population numbers and they compared it to those who were vaccinated. That was comparing apples to rocks. So we can't sit here and say that there's no parity between demographics and vaccinations when they were counting people who were not even in a group yet to get vaccinated. So I just want to say, can we at least put this out here? Because there's a lot of funding coming for equity, and I want to make sure that the community has these numbers, because if we don't, they won't know that Rod and Joanne and all of us and the community health workers like Tri, like War for Life, that whole group and gambit of individuals is what got these numbers of parity. I also want to throw out, if no one has seen it, we paid for some billboards. So I finally saw my first Back on the Bull billboard. So if you're going down 85, ladies, you know, we pay for things all the time. We can see the fruits of our eyes and our eyes and our eyes. So I did get to see one of those, and I've been seeing it pop up. So thank you to everybody. And Rod, could you just make this public, and can maybe, I mean, I don't know if we can do it weekly, but as these numbers are updated, I know how to go check the vaccine management system online, but I would love for folks to have these equity numbers.
Consider it
Well,
done.
this presentation is part of the agenda, so people will have access to, the public has access to this one.
Right, to this one, but yeah. So
yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Rod. This is great information, and I'm sure the public will be able to pull it down and use whatever portion of it that they need to. So thanks a bunch.
Absolutely. Thank you for your support.
You're welcome. Thank you. Okay, commissioners, this brings us to, we have a closed session tonight. And I want to thank the residents and others that have been attending the virtual meeting as we go into closed session. And I'm going to read the statute. So to establish, the board is requested to go into closed session for the following: to establish or to instruct the public's body staff or negotiating agents concerning the position to be taken by or on behalf of the public body in negotiating the price and other material terms of a contract or proposed contract for the acquisition of real property by purchase, option, exchange, or lease. The amount of compensation and other material terms of an employment contract or a proposed employment contract pursuant to GS 143-318.11A5. So I need a motion to go into closed session.
So moved, Madam Chair.
And second?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Commissioner Lum, second by Commissioner Jacobs to go in closed session. Roll vote.
Commissioner Lum,
Aye.
Commissioner Burns,
Aye.
Commissioner Carter,
Aye.
Vice Chair Jacobs,
Aye.
and Chair Howerton.
Aye. Passes 5-0. We're moving into closed session, commissioners. All right. So we're back.
Yes, ma'am. We have all commissioners and the county manager on the line.
Okay, thank you. So we met in closed session, directions to staff. And we're gonna ask for no actions was taken. A motion to adjourn for the meeting.
So moved, Madam Chair.
I need a second.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Burns, second by Commissioner Jacobs. Clerk, call the roll.
Commissioner Alam,
Aye.
Commissioner Burns,
Aye.
Commissioner Carter,
Aye.
Vice Chair Jacobs,
Aye.
and Chair Howerton.
Aye. 5-0. We've adjourned.
Good
Thank you.
night.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.